And yeah, we're live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Stocks on the Rocks. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and we're so excited to have this episode today. Today's topic is monetizing your passion. So, we're just going to give everyone about 2 minutes to join in, to send the link, to share it on Twitter, to share it to your friends, WhatsApp, whatever the means be. We're giving you guys 2 minutes. All right. So, for those of you who are just joining in, we are about to start. We're giving others about a minute more to get started with monetizing your passion. 1 more minute before we begin, guys. All right, so I just got my notification from Twitter that it's about to begin. So I guess other persons just got it as well. So welcome everybody to Stocks on the Rocks. You know what it is. It's monetizing your passion. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have an amazing session for everybody tonight. Trust me, I'm super excited, especially because of our guests tonight. We have the amazing Crystal Day. She is the COO of Daylight Publishers. She is a book coach. She is a brand strategist. She's a publishing expert. She's a podcaster. She's a speaker. She's a minister. She's an author of 9 books, including her latest edition, which is Dear Insecurity, a woman's guide to releasing self doubt and activating your God given gifts. So, our next guest is also amazing. She is Krista Forbes. Some of you might know her from Twitter, and she is the CEO of Optima the Agency. She's a service business consultant. She is a passive income strategist and the author of the ebook Profit Secrets: Scale Your Online Service Business Without Selling More of Your Time for Money. So we have two amazing women on tonight to talk about monetizing your passion, talk about earning multiple streams of income. We're talking about passive income. We're going to get our hands dirty in that tonight. And I'm so excited because this is a topic that I am truly interested in because the 9 to 5, it's not working. The 9 to 5 alone is just not working. We need something else. We need something else, especially in we're still in the thick of COVID, and I'm one of the I'm one of the people who thought it would have been done by now. I thought it would have been done by now. So, but I'm still here, and some of us are, unfortunately out of jobs. You're still looking for things to do. And for myself, we're having people like me who are having life changes, things are happening, and you really need the extra income. So we're going to talk about that. So the first question I want to ask these lovely ladies this evening is, how did you get started? So we read that a while ago, and so many things, so many hats. So let's start with Krista. Krista, how did you get started?
So I like I
like my intro said, so I currently own a consulting agency as well as a marketing agency for service businesses. But in terms of like what I do, essentially, I just kind of, I would say, I sell online products. That's the I sell products online, digital products online. How I actually got started in that space was I started my first online business when I was 17. I actually was a student athlete in high school. I had the worst time getting recruited to colleges because I needed a college scholarship to be able to go to college. So I actually when I was going through the process, I realized it was really, really difficult. And I thought, if it's so difficult for me, like, I wonder how difficult it is for other people. So I ended up creating my first business, online business, where I was actually providing college counseling services to other student athletes and their parents, helping them through the process. So that's really where I got my start in the online space. And then just over time, it kind of evolved into other things and brought me to where I am now.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. Crystal, you're up.
I guess for me, I think I always have an entrepreneurial mind. But I think also the Jamaican education system kind of teaches us to work for people, right? So even though, like, I remember, I was just talking to my mom earlier, and we always talk about, starting a restaurant, opening pastry shop. Like, I'm always thinking about entrepreneurial pursuit, but I would have never launched out. I started by doing a little t-shirt line. So I was doing the ministry, and I was like, I needed money to run the ministry, and I started a t-shirt line, but I did not have the best money management skills. So every time I make some money, you just kind of spend it back, kind of thing. How I got into then I was just led to write a book, and then what people don't tell you about writing a book is that books don't sell themselves. So if you're not promoting that book, if you're not really putting on your entrepreneurial act to market it, to sell it out there, then and that's kind of how books, I realized that I have to promote my books. I have to, because they spend this money to publish it. And finally, for the publishing company, it really was something that the Lord kind of just placed on my heart, and He used a business coach. So I realized that I wanted to monetize coaching, I wanted to monetize speaking and my writing, but then she kind of just placed it in my heart to, possibly help other people to publish their books. So that's kind of how I started. But as I said, I know a lot of persons in the Jamaican economy. For those who in Jamaica, you find that you do have entrepreneurial desires, but again, our education system teaches us that we must work for people. And one of the major things that I had to learn was, that you don't have to work for people, but I needed to have the mindset to create a stream of income that I can have access to in terms of the income that I can desire.
Thanks, Crystal. So, if you are just tuning in, you are at Stocks on the Rocks. We're talking about monetizing your passion. And we just heard from Crystal and Crystal about how they got started. So, I know you saw on the flyer, you saw, the lady there. And we're really talking to the women tonight. Men, don't come off. Stay. Stay. You have to listen. Listen. Trust me, it's going to be good. But for women, we have some unique challenges. We really do. So my first question though is, what's the best way to find out what I'm good at or what I'm truly passionate about? I think that's the first step. So Crystal, what's your take on that?
So, in terms of finding out what you're good at, I would definitely say, like, what do you enjoy doing? So, I don't think so. I think that we probably should try to get away from like trying to find what we're passionate about, or like, what we're naturally good at. Sometimes it really helps to think about like what you like to do and what you can get better at. So I would definitely say start there. But in terms of like if you're trying to actually figure out like what you like to do and what you'd actually want to monetize, think about the things that you do on a daily basis super easily. So if it's organization, if you're really great with numbers, if you're really great with like coming up with great ideas, if you're great with like, putting colors together, marketing, anything like that, then you want to kind of like zero in on that and then say, where can I actually like plant a flag and say, okay, even if I'm not the best at this right now, I enjoy doing it. It comes naturally to me. and I'm willing to go learn more about a particular skill where this thing that I like can apply to.
Crystal, what's your take?
I think it always starts, as Krista says, that self exploration, right? I think the average person don't know what they're passionate about, or sometimes we get so caught up in, oh, I'm passionate about writing, so I'm going to monetize. But when you understand the basis of, instead of seeking passion, seek to seek a venture that is profitable and become passionate about it.
But
Right? Because, for example, I'll find a lot of persons, oh, I'm passionate about poetry and writing poetry, but the truth is poetry books are hard to sell, right? But instead, how can I possibly utilize what I think I'm passionate about, and instead provide a solution for the marketplace that people are willing to pay for. So I think that's when it comes on to even your passion. I think, especially in this season of COVID, you probably need to just look at what's demand there, and then find, based on the demand, what can I become passionate about.
but
Nice. All right. So we know women have a million thoughts racing, through our heads on a daily basis. We think a lot, and we probably have so many ideas. All right. This is happening in this marketplace. This is happening in another space. So I want to know, you know, how can I determine really and truly what's the best income path for me? So you said we're not necessarily just going straight off passion, right? So we're not necessarily going down, I need to write poetry route, things like that. But, I have multiple things going. How can I really determine what path is best for me?
so I mean, I could jump in on that one. Like, again, it goes back to think about like what you do really well at this point. So, like, with no formal training, like, what do you do really well? And then now go and see like what is, I would say, currently out there and what's currently profitable, as Crystal said before. Like, you want to think about, okay, if I had to monetize something, what would I not mind doing every single day to get paid for? Like, you don't want to do something that you're gonna hate. So first, of course, it goes back to starting with what are you naturally good at? And then also I'd like to say, think about like not so much about the things that you currently do. So let's just say you're in a space where like I do accounting at the moment. You don't necessarily have to say, well, I'm good at accounting. Think about how you do what you do. I always say there's more magic in how you do what you do than what you actually do. So think about how you're doing the things that you're doing. So if you currently are in the finance field and you realize that you are like for you, not just the numbers come naturally, but the organization, the things that you have to kind of master to even be good in that space. If you find that like those core skills that you have are in demand elsewhere, figure out where those things are in demand currently. So like for right now, my focus is on the coaching industry. So I provide like a number of different services to people who are coaches, consultants, and stuff like that. Right. So I got my start in working with kids in the college prep space, and I realized I was really, really good at creating products for that audience and then bringing it to market and consistently selling it and consistently making money from it. So what did I do? I thought about, okay, how do I do that? And then I packaged my how, and then I sold it to other people who have that similar problem. So I'd also say that's another thing that you can do. Think about the problems that people are having. Think about what you're good at, and then think about how what you're good at can solve those people's problems, and then package that and then sell it to them.
Krista, I love that. I love that. It's not just about what you're doing, but how you're doing.
Oh, you're
Because the
doing it.
truth is, there are other people trying to do the same thing,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of people, and they say that there's no idea new under the sun. So there's somebody
Literally.
else doing what you're doing, but it's a matter of how you're going to do that. So one thing I want to touch on though, so we do our self-assessment, and we figure out, what we can do, what we can get into. I want to talk about how we go about earning a passive income. So there are so many things that we can do, but what can we do that can allow us to, you know, sleep and make money, or, not necessarily be doing something labor intensive to make some money. Crystal?
So that's like that's my favorite thing in the world. Like passive income is my favorite thing in the world. I literally was like, I was super excited to even have this conversation today because like I got a notification this morning, like somebody purchased one of my products, and I was just like, oh, that feels great. That's wonderful, and I'd love for everybody else to experience this as well. So in terms of the how, again, like the foundation of all of it. And at this point, I sound like a scratch record, but the foundation is how do you do what you do? So think about how you do what you do. That's your secret sauce. Find what your secret sauce is, how you typically get whatever results you get for yourself or for your clients, whoever it is, or whatever it is. And then what you want to do now is now package that. So package your secret sauce, turn it into a product, a training, whatever it is. And then I'd also say find out who you want to help. So I'm going to give like very specific examples. If you are currently in the marketing space and you're a social media manager, who you have to think about who would now need a solution that I can provide. I have the secret sauce of helping people to gain a ton of followers. Who can I now help with this solution, right? You now think, okay, if I'm going to go help a particular person, like a coach or a consultant or something, you now package your solution and directly position yourself in front of those people and say, hey, I have this service that I want, or I have this product that I think would be perfect for you. I have this product that will solve all of your problems. Here you go. So in essence, what it is simply just package your secret sauce, find out who your secret sauce will solve a problem for, and then position yourself in front of them and constantly just let them know that, hey, I have something that can solve your problems. And that's how you can generate passive income from your expertise or your passions.
Nice, 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 nice. And we're talking about, so that was passive income, and we're talking about multiple streams. And sometimes we after we've done our assessments, we want to get into something that probably is a little bit more labor intensive, but you feel like you can make some money, from that. So I want to talk about the possibility of monetizing endeavors that you are probably more passionate about. So I want to talk to Crystal about things like monetizing, women empowerment. Somebody who really who has this drive to empower women. How would we go about doing something like that? Is that even possible?
All right, so you know what I love about the dynamic of this conversation with Krista. Krista talks a lot about the passive income side, and just the the aspect of a lot about the creatives. So I find I believe that Krista, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of creatives will come to the digital marketer, the persons that the graphic designers, those kind of person, right, Krista?
So sometimes, but really anybody can turn their
They
whatever
think
they do into
impossible.
a
Well,
product.
yeah.
Yeah.
But with what I found for me is that I focus a lot on persons that who believe that they're called into the space of empowerment and impact, right? So while coaching is one of the ways that you can do that, we do that through books, we do that through courses, we do that through speaking, we do that through different just different, the similar thing that you would think about when you're thinking about any passive income thing. But for me, I like to focus on, yes, the person that believes that they are called to empower people, right? They believe that they have a story, and how can I help them to now monetize that experience? So how one of the ways are, I guess, some steps I would say, one is acknowledge that you have a story, right? And acknowledge that this story can be and make an impact with someone. No, the second thing, that once you this what the story is, then now you'd have to think about who the audience is, right? So based on the story, who am I called, or what do I feel like would benefit more from this story? Then from knowing your ideal audience, then I think this is where the messaging comes in, right? And Krista mentioned it earlier, the how. So I can tell you my story, but I want to teach you how to do something. So, for example, a woman that have been sexually molested, and that's probably one of the popular ones. Persons that come to me, a lot of women have gone through some domestic violence, sexual abuse, something, and most of the times, they would want to know how can I, impact and help other people. So, one, for me, I would now think, okay, the story can't be the molestation, but what is the lesson that you learned from that? And how did you overcome that? And that is what you teach, as Krista mentioned, the how to. Now, the different ways that you can now package this is you can write a book, how to kind of memoir kind of thing. You can now use coaching, right? One-on-one coaching. You could do a group coaching program. You could do a mastermind, right? You could do some kind of course, right? So yes, you, in terms of the monetizing, it always come back to how to teaching somebody else a different perspective. But for us that thinks about empowerment, our story plays a very, very important part with actually us getting, even speaking engagement. That's another thing. People don't realize how profitable speaking can be, right? If properly packaged in the right way, whether through corporate, whether through churches, whether through conferences, right? Or even creating your own platform through podcasting and YouTubing, and even what you guys are doing right now through YouTube, right? So I think it's definitely possible for the empowerment space. And as you mentioned, a lot of women tend to lean to that. And also I think a lot of women that don't always feel like they are the most creative, this is also a great way for you to go, because you're not very I'm not very good at the whole graphic designing thing. I learned Canva. I learned to make my own website, because at the time I'm like, you need a website, you need to do it, you can't afford to, but I realized early that's not my strength, right? That I don't have the best creative eye, but give me a stage, I can talk down the whole day, right? And I can teach you how to.
Thanks for that, Crystal. Wow. Because there's so many women who, there's something that they want to go out. They have a story to tell. A lot of women have stories. They've been through so much themselves, or the women in their family, and they want to share it. They want to do something with it, and they have no idea what to do with that story. And the possibility that you can actually monetize it. It's good that you brought up public speaking, because it's actually very big in the US, where you have a lot of public speaking engagements, and they will fill out huge rooms, like thousands of people will gather in one space just to listen to you talk and to share your story. And that's a part of multiple streams of income, because you could have another job, you could have a job and do that separately. A lot of people that you see on YouTube that have a very huge platform, that's not what they do full time. Some of them actually do work. They have a 9 to 5, but they're doing multiple things. So, my next question is: many women have an ongoing battle with insecurities. How do I deal with insecurities and imposter syndrome? So let me just explain what imposter syndrome is for those of you who don't know. So this is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments, as a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Let me read it again. In case somebody missed it. So imposter syndrome is a psychological term in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments, as a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. It's, you know, it has a lot to do with feeling like you just don't belong, constantly, this persistent feeling. And I know for a lot of us, women and men, we feel like we're in a space and we don't belong there. We can't start our business because we don't know enough. How can we deal with this?
So I mean, I know Crystal has like a whole book on this, so I can't wait to hear your answer. But for me, I would definitely say it's something that I have, of course, struggled with in the past. And sometimes more like sometimes, especially as I go into like more like newer things and I'm getting to like new levels in my business, I'm just like, do I belong here? And I think what has really, really helped me is that I have to realize that I would not be in a space that I don't belong in. Like I would not, if I'm in this space, I belong there. You know, I was called to do this, so I basically have all the tools within me that I need to be able to excel in this space. And also, if I don't have them, I'm willing to go find them. But that was the first thing, understanding that like wherever I'm planted, that's where I'm supposed to be, and I can grow there. The second thing is just understanding that like regardless of what I'm currently experiencing, these feelings that I'm having, again, I have the gifts that I was given them for a reason, and I was given them to share. So if I get scared and if I say I want to hide and I don't think I am who I say I am and I'm far too insecure to share these stories, then there's somebody who is waiting for my story that will not get it. And there's somebody who's waiting to get my help that will not get it. So if I'm stuck in the, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, I don't know if I can do this, that person, I have to think about that person who's waiting for me to show up. And if I don't show up for them, what happens to them? And then finally, for me, I had to also check how I was speaking to myself. And then I had to also check who I was allowing to speak over my life. So I think a lot of the times, if you kind of think about the things that you're saying to yourself, you'll realize they're not your voice. There's somebody else's voice from some point in your life. There's somebody who was telling you, you don't belong here, you are not this, you are not that. And you have to check that voice. Whether it was a teacher, a parent, a friend, a family member, doesn't really matter. You don't realize how those voices stick with you when you get older and you're now venturing into new things. So you want to check the voice that you want to check how you're speaking over your own life. What are the things that you're currently saying to yourself? Because what I've come to realize is like none of the things that we say, whether good or bad, is actually true when you think about it. So you can say, you know, I'm the most successful person in the world, and you're affirming these things over yourself. But you can also say, you know, I'm the worst person in the world. Like neither of those things are true or not true. They're things that we are basically speaking over our own lives. So why not speak just good things over your life? So that's the final thing. Check how you're speaking to yourself. Also check who you've allowed to speak over your life and who you're continuing to allow to speak over your life, even if you're no longer in the same space with that person or those people. Crystal,
Crystal,
I can't
you're
wait to hear
getting,
you.
Listen,
you're getting Crystal's not of approval.
like Krista is
Crystal, this is the
preaching good.
premise of your ninth book,
Yeah, so
Their
Krista is preaching
Insecurity.
good. Yeah, she preaching good. Because here's the thing, what I found is that women tend to struggle far more than men
Oh
with
yeah.
insecurity. And this is not just like even when I was writing the book, I was asking men, I was asking women, because even deciding the title of it, I was like, should I make it general? But then most men are like, oh, if I want to do something, I'll do it. I don't care, you know. And I see it even with my brothers, like even if they say they're not good at something, oh, I feel I'm good, I'm gonna do it. I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
But we like is we're always seeking somebody's approval, from daddy's approval, from our teacher's approval. We strive on this approval, this people pleasing thing. So for me personally, as Krista, for almost every time I'm supposed to go after something, there is something in the back of my mind that's saying you are not supposed to. Who are you to? Why are you? And it is, I don't know. I don't know if it's the Eve's curse, the curse of Eve that is upon us or something. But there is something that I believe that women tend to struggle with more. For my, personally, when it comes on to insecurity, I have from I can think even something simple like when I was graduating high school, right? I graduated as a top girl at the high school, and I was attending Alpha Academy at the time, right? So I was graduating as top girl at Alpha that year. They are supposed to vote the valedictorian, and somebody said, "Well, since she, vote for Crystal," and I'm like, "To do what? Me? You're crazy! I would never be seen speaking in public." So I did not accept a valedictorian speech because I was afraid of what people would say about me speaking in public. Like, like when you look at it, like what? Like that don't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
And this is how we do as women, right? We are always trying to think, and I love what Krista says. Like, what is it that we're saying to ourselves, right? Like, girl, back up. I'm all that. Right now, for me, of course, I speak on the spiritual side. I speak on the Christian faith-based side, right? So I don't just think about what the positive self-talk. I think about what God has said about me. And if you look in the Bible, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm the head, I'm not the tail. I'm like, there's so many things that God has spoken over my life. Listen, even when I can't find good things to say, I can say the God things about myself. And that's what the book kind of talked about, right? They when I was preparing, even business, right? You know, you want to publish book, the first thing come to mind, but I don't have a degree in English language, right? I only published one book. Who is going to hire me to publish their books? Things like that. You know, I went through all of that. And the Lord just kind of showed me that listen, the antidote for insecurity is not self-confidence, right? Because self-confidence can take you so far and no more. It's identity, right? Once I know who I am, I can show up in any space feeling qualified because I'm qualified, because I determine if I'm qualified or not, and not you. So I think anybody that's thinking about, you know, insecurity in whatever area, the truth is you are going to decide. Is either you go after it, you don't. And if you don't, you're only robbing yourself. But if you do, and even if you fail, technically it's not a failure because I'm sure you would have gone far ahead of if you didn't start in the first place.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Crystal. I mean, it's really a struggle, and some people think it's so trivial and it's not something that people need to talk about, but it does impact business because a lot of women are at the point where you've figured out what you want to do, how you can monetize it. I've met people who have gone down the road of actually writing up their business plan, or some people who have actually even started the business, but they cannot cross the mental hurdle because you feel like you don't belong, you shouldn't be in this space, you can't do it, you don't have that drive internally to even push and continue. So with that said, I want to know, dealing with this whole imposter syndrome and feeling like, you probably don't have enough information and you shouldn't even be in the field because some people feel like you need to have a PhD in the field before you can even start to speak on it. I want to know, what does it mean to be an expert?
Oh, so I actually just answered this question yesterday. So I remember there was a point where, especially when I was like starting the consulting side of things, I was just like, I don't know if I'm an expert at this at all. Like, how am I going to help people if I haven't made $1 million yet, or like, USD, or I don't have like, I haven't published a book, I haven't done all of these things. Like, how am I possibly going to be an expert? And at the time, my business coach said to me, she said, why do you think you're not an expert? Who told you that? And I was like, well, and she was like, compared to who? And I was just like, well, compared to these other people who are like, 10, 20 years ahead of me, they're the experts. Like, I don't feel like I'm expert enough. And then she was just like, take a look at what you've been able to accomplish, not just for yourself, but what you've also been able to accomplish for other people. That's what makes you an expert. And to take it further, I want people to think about who you're comparing yourself to. Think about again what you do. If there is something that you can do every single day, like the back of your hand, you are an expert in that thing. You are an expert on doing that particular thing, and own that. Do not compare your expertise to somebody else's expertise. It starts by looking at what you do and how you do it, and being confident in the fact that you know how to do this like the back of your hand. I would also definitely say, do not think about the things that you like if you're in a particular space and it's extremely vast, do not think about the fact that you have not mastered the entire space. Think about the part of it that you have mastered yourself. So I tend to say, if you are great at getting somebody from point A to point if you're great at getting yourself from point A to point B, let's just say you are in accounting, or you are great at getting raises for yourself or getting yourself a new job. Like, you can start on Saturday, you can decide that you don't want this job and you can go and get a new job tomorrow. And you can consistently do that over and over because you know exactly what to do and get results for yourself. Think about that. That is where you are an expert. Don't think about how someone else is an expert in a part in that same, probably in that same space, but they can do way more. Don't think about that. So I always say, if you can get yourself from point A to point B over and over again, that is where your expertise are. Now, once you acknowledge that, I want you to now understand that there are people who are waiting for you to help them get from point A to point B, and only focus on getting people from point A to point B and acknowledging your experience from in getting people from point A to point B. So that was like the second thing. The third thing that I got from my business coach the other day was, you're an expert when you get paid for it. When you get paid for your expertise, that's when you're an expert. So if you want to know that you're an expert enough, package up what you know, go sell it, and the market will tell you. So you don't need to validate your own. Well, it helps to, of course, believe in what you do. But how do you know that you're an expert enough? Package what you know and put it out there and get paid for it. Get paid for your expertise. And as you continue to grow, you will grow in your expertise. Like, don't even question it. Like, literally, if you are great at point A to point B, do that. Package it and do that.
And I want to add, I want to add, one of the ways I teach my clients regarding expertise is, one, the truth is, think about a scale. If I'm at a scale of 5 on the expert list, I'm able to teach somebody that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's fine,
Literally.
right?
Yeah.
Like, who says you have to be 10? So my daughter is 9 years old, right? So if she has like her siblings that is 3, 4 year old, she can teach them ABC. She can
She's an
teach them up to
expert.
where she is, the level. So when you think about expertise, as mentioned, where have I gotten myself to? Okay,
Yeah.
and you choose. I feel like I'm on a scale of 4. Then you teach the 1, 2, 3s, right? And I think about even me in business when I start. That's how I felt regarding book coaching, because I only published. Well, I didn't even publish my own book, right? I hired a publisher, but I was studying the process. So I said, okay, what do I know to do? I know how to write a book, right? And then I hired somebody that knows the publishing side to partner with me in the business. So as I learn, and the more book I publish, is the more I got better. Now I've published over 150 books in the last 3 years, right? Definitely how I've started 3 years ago is definitely not where I'm at right now, because now I move from, I know publishing, I know writing, I know publishing, I know branding, now I know marketing, so I'm able to even sell more, add more value. But anybody that's thinking about it, what is it, as Krista says, I know from A to B, right? When you reach C, you can teach ABC.
Yep.
But for now, where
Just
you are at,
overview.
there's somebody that don't know anything that you can help.
Yep. And I think
I
people get
love
hung up
that.
on the I think people get hung up on the title of expert. That was one thing that tripped me up and like literally stopped me from wanting to put myself out there. The title of expert and what is expert. And to be honest, I think that trips up a lot of women because they're thinking about like, well, I've seen other experts in the space and they look like this and they don't look like me. I want us to get over that word, to be honest. Like, I would love for us to get over that word. We are talking about the fact that if you can get from point A to point B, you're a pro at it. So forget the word expert because it seems extremely daunting. You are a pro at getting from point A to point B. So if we're thinking about monetizing those things, you don't just have to teach it. You can simply just say, I'm a pro at this, so I'm going to package it and help other people to, through my skills and services, I am going to help other people to achieve the thing that I'm already a pro in. right? So get over the expert thing. You can consider yourself a consultant. When you think about business consultants in the corporate space, a lot of them simply went to college and then went to work. They're not an expert in running multi-million dollar organizations, but they're expert in what they specifically, or they're pros at what they might do, which is either numbers, reports, analysis, whatever it is. They're pros at that, and they didn't need to run a multi-million dollar organization to be able to help multi-million dollar organizations to be able to achieve the results that they're about to help them achieve. So think about what you are a pro at or what you are good at. Let's get over the title of I need to be an expert before I can monetize. There's somebody, like I said, who is praying. You got to point B. There's somebody that is looking at you and praying that they can get to point B just like you did. And because you don't think you're expert enough to help them, you are sitting on your story, you are sitting on your experiences, you are sitting on what the transformation that you can bring to their life, because you are stuck on this title of I am not expert enough. You are a pro, you have experiences. The mere fact that you could move from one point to the next, all you simply have to do is know how you did that, and you can reach back and say, hey, I'm either going to help you by creating a product that's going to teach you how to do it, or I am going to do it for you.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. I love what both of you just said, because it's really a trip up. The word in and of itself is just really daunting. Listen, I have a friend who wanted to go into she wanted to sell here, right? And very smart girl, but she spent, I kid you not, so much time trying to research types of hair, and she got into hair science and all of those things, and I'm like,
You know that?
you just a try sell hair, what you doing? But it was just this, and I totally understand this quest of trying to know everything all at once, and it really hinders you from starting. It
Mm-hmm.
really does. And I love what both of you have said about understanding where you're at. So we're not saying that you need to market yourself as something that you're not. Surely, if you're gonna go a particular avenue, you need to have the things that require it. So you cannot say that you're an accountant if you haven't done the required accounting examinations and have the proper certifications, because you cannot call yourself an accountant, right? But looking at where you're at when you are an accountant, I mean, you're not going to know everything in accountancy. There's so many levels there. I mean, you're just gonna continue, going to school, and I mean, what, 50 years going past before you feel like you know everything before you can start.
Exactly. Yeah.
So definitely, let's look past the expert word and assess where we're at. And if you're at ABC and you can do something with the ABC, just start there.
Yep.
Love that.
Start. Literally start. Start. If it's just A, start at A. If you are great at just getting to A. I always say, like, going back to like the more like marketing side of things, if you're a social media manager, you're just starting out and you know how to get 400 followers in 30 days. That's all you know how to do. You don't know how to get to 1 million. You don't know how to get to like about 100,000, but you know how to get to 400. You simply say, I am great at getting to 400. Then what you do is you go find people who want to get to 400. Don't find people who want to get to 4,000, because now you are going to feel invalidated when you cannot help them to get to 4,000. Essentially, simply just focus on who does your experience solve a problem for. That's simply what business is: solving problems. Do you need to be able to solve the world's problems to go into business and make a profit? No. You simply say, I can solve this particular problem. I can help people get from point A to point B. And you go find people who are desperate to get from point A to point B and say, here I am. I am a pro at getting from point A to point B. If you want to get from point A to point Z, I can point you to somebody else. But if you just want point A to point B, here I am.
Awesome, awesome. So, all right, we're going down the ladder now. So we find out what we want to do, right? And we realize that the path that we're taking, it's profitable. We can make some money from it, whether it be passive income or otherwise. So we're definitely trying to diversify at this point, and we're dealing with our issues. They won't go away in one day, but we're dealing with it and we're pouring it on. We're not daunted by the word expert. All right, so I'm ready. Now that I know what I want to do, how do I actually begin? How can I start my business? What's the first thing that I need to do?
Go get money, go get customers. That's literally my thing. My least favorite thing is when people are just like, I have this business idea, so I'm going to create a business plan. I'm going to go register it with the company registrar. I'm going to get a logo for it. I'm going to get a website, and then I'm going to go get customers. And it's just kind of like, how do you know that this is it's profitable? You're about to invest a lot of time and probably a lot of money into doing these things like getting a website when you don't even know what you're doing will sell, or if what you're doing will make the type of money that you think you can, you think it can. So I always say, start with, you have the idea first as to what you want to do. I then say package it, create a package it. So if you're going to provide a service, think about what that package looks like. I will do this, this, and this for this amount of money. Then I will say, think about who you want to do it for. So if you want to do it for professionals, for entrepreneurs, for doctors, for hairstylists, whoever it is, think about who you want to do it for, and then go find them and let them know that you have a solution to their problems. I'd also say, outline how what you're about to do for them, whether it's a product or a service, will actually impact their lives. What is the transformation that they're going to get once they're finished working with you, right? So you've packaged that, you have now decided who you're going to serve, what you're going to do for them, and you have now figured out how it's going to change their lives. Then I want you to go to these people and say, this is what I do, pay me some money to do it. Here's a solution that I'm going to provide to you. Get your first sale, continue getting your sales, and then do all the extra stuff, like the fancy stuff, like get the website and invest the money that you've made into now doing, getting the website and, now registering the company and doing all the fancy stuff. But I have a profit first belief where I want you to validate the idea first. I think that waiting to do all the extra things that people think that they have to do, like getting the logo, people aren't buying your logo. People aren't buying your branding. People are buying your transformation and your solution. So put your transformation and your solution out there as soon as you possibly can to validate that, yes, people want to pay me for this, and then invest in all the extra stuff first.
Thanks, Crystal. Crystal, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I do agree. That sometimes we get caught up in all the fandangles, the brand equity, the brand logo, and all of that. And like, I did that. I did the whole website logo, everything, and then when everything looked cute, nobody showed up. Right? Nobody bought anything.
Oh no, oh no.
Yeah, yeah. So I do think that there is definitely going after validating that idea. No, the thing is, to be honest, when it comes on to the empowerment based world, which is where, I would say the monetizing comes in, sometimes it's not as easy to monetize yourself if you have not built a brand. And that means you have not been very intentional about putting your story out there, putting out content out there. I think that's probably when it comes on to the empowerment world, it's not as easy for you to just sell something, because most time you don't even know what you're selling, right? So I'd find that there, while I don't think the first thing you need to do is go to the company's office, go register somewhere, because again, even so, what you think your story is and what you think people are coming to you for with your story might not be what you end up selling, right? So I do think that, if you're going with the empowerment world, I think content will play an important part, right? Connecting with people, networking with the right people, positioning yourself for the right opportunities, right, will get you and yes, there is a part of in that world that you would need, somewhere to drive traffic to, whether through your blog, to a website, because most times when people are looking speakers, they are looking at, okay, what a person social media looks like, what them, they don't just take your word for it. Then especially in my sector, they don't just take your word for it. So I think finding that balance, depending, first thing, I think, let us stop here. I think Christian and I would agree, we'll do some research, please. Do some research. Second thing, hire help. The money that you're gonna pay to do your logo, whatever, pay a business coach. It will definitely
Higher
shorten
help.
shorten your learning span, right? It
I
will.
100% agree. I
Yes,
100% agree. Like, I
yes,
would say I was in business for 2 years, struggling to make a dollar. There was a point where I was trying to sell a $6 to $8 a year program. So do the math on how much it would cost per month, and people were still telling me no. And I was just like, what am I doing wrong? And then I finally decided that okay, I am, and like an ad came up for this lady, and she was just like, I can help you in this particular way, and I was just like, all right. So I decided to follow her, and I didn't have the money to invest in her because it was quite the investment for where I was in business. But I followed everything that she did. I studied what she did. I studied how she was getting results because I was just like, I want to be where she is at some point. And when it started to work for me, literally, like, I went from making literally nothing, could not figure out how to sell my product, to now I'm making at least 1,000 USD. At the time I was in the States. So I'm making like at least 1,000 USD as like a kid in college. And I'm just like, I'm making this from the things that I have in my head and I'm putting it out there. And it was through learning from this person. And when I finally had enough money to invest in her, it literally changed my whole life. By the time that I invested in her, it took me about maybe 2 months, and I was profitable every single month after that. I went from making nothing to investing in someone's help to show me the step-by-step breakdown of how to achieve what I want to achieve. And it has changed my life tremendously. I would not be here on this call doing what I'm doing today had it not been for that investment that I made in myself before.
yeah.
So I think that, like, for a lot of people, they're just like, I can figure this out. I have YouTube University. Like, do you not value your time? Like, I want you to value your time. I want you to value, like, your experiences. I want you to value yourself so much that you are willing to invest in yourself. Because if you want people to invest in you, you have to be prepared to invest in yourself. So there are people, of course, who do it alone, who kind of figure things out. But it's just like, again, do you value your time? Do you not want the blueprints to get from point A to point B? Like, I cannot,
Quicker,
no, I cannot promise
quicker.
I promise nobody that I will ever feel around in the dark again. At this point where I am in business and in life, if there's anything that I want, any space that I want to get into, I am going to hire somebody to tell me how to do it. I am going to hire them to teach me exactly what they have done because I don't have time to figure it out. I can't afford to try and fail with my money anymore. I like, if it's one thing that you have is, I would say the one thing that you cannot waste is your time. So that would be, I would say, based on where I'm in life right now, looking back, what changed my life was asking for help and getting that help and implementing and truly buying into somebody else's process and saying, how can I? They were just like, I'm a pro at getting from point A to point B. And I said, all right, show me how to do it. And literally, it changed my entire life. So, YouTube
Yeah,
University is great. All that stuff is great, but having somebody's exact blueprint, making it work for you, and then tweaking it along the way and getting more help to get to different levels literally is what changed the game for me.
yeah, yeah. So, and that's where both of us agree. Like we could tell you
100%.
all of that. Like, but the truth is, invest, get the help.
Get
I'm
the
trying
help.
to learn this thing about I'm self-made. I'm self-made. Bye, bye,
Bye.
like bye. Like, why would you be like it? It don't listen. Self-made and broke don't work. I'm sorry.
No, no
Like self-made and
intern.
broke don't work. So yes, YouTube is fun. Google is great, but the truth is, everybody, we put out enough that it give you enough so that you can come get the help from us. Simple, right? Because we would have spent time studying, practicing, testing, and you want everything for free. Listen, and then you want people to pay you. There's a law of sowing and reaping. What I sow is what I reap. So I think we'll backtrack to say, yes, profit first, get out there and say, but get help. Pay
Get
for the help. It's quicker.
get help. I promise you, get the help. Get the help. I can't stress that enough. Get the help. Like, changed my entire life. Like, at this point, I'm just consistent and just like, where can I find more help to get from place to place? So at this point, like, at first it was, I just wanted to be able to make like consistent four figures. And then I was just like, okay, once I mastered that, I was just like, okay, I'm going to find somebody who can help me to make consistent six figures and, go from like, it kind of went from there. So like Crystal said, self-made and broke do not work. Go get yourself some help. I promise you, it is worth it. The right help, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are teaching me. This is a teaching lesson for me also, because so many things I didn't know, and I think for a lot of people, we treat business like an academic exercise. um it's not. There's so many people who own successful businesses that they fell out of high school, but they found something that works, right? It's not so academic where you have to go through, it has to be, as you say, you have to go to the office and get this done, and you have to have the website, you have to have the logo and the promotional items, you have everything down to the keychain, and you don't have something that's working. Your idea is not working. You didn't do the research, but we're just focused on having all of those things together so everything can be neat and fine. But I love that. We need help. We need help. We need to acknowledge that there are other people that know more than us. They've been in the space. They've, as Crystal said, they did the trial and error already. So you
Yeah.
don't have to do that. I actually remember an interview with Tyler Perry, and he said if only he got the help from early outs,
Yeah.
he would have gotten to where he is right now so much faster. So much faster. If only he had that help. So, I mean, he went through a period of being homeless and spending all his money on plays and just making so many mistakes. But I mean, he's still successful now, but that doesn't have to be your journey. You don't have to go through the scraping to find money to eat situation, all of that, if you can just get help from early out to figure out what you don't need to be doing
Yeah.
and the path that you need to be on so that you can have a successful business going.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I always say, like, business is a skill. There is nothing like it, it's a skill that you have to learn. So let's just say that you want to actually start a business in and you want to be an electrician. You are a great electrician, but the skill of running a business doesn't just come naturally because you are a great electrician, right? So you, if you're a great electrician, live in that. That's called your zone of genius, right? So remember that. That is your zone of genius. You're a great electrician. Do that, right? Do be the best at that, right? The next thing that comes after that is go get somebody who is great at business who can teach you how to run a successful electrician business, right? So that's really where it comes from.
Yeah, I love that because I must be honest. If I was an electrician, right, and I know, say I went to Heart and I learned how to do that, and it's work where I get called based on referrals, and I sat down and I said, okay, maybe I can make this into a business. The first thing I would do, try to go get some kind of business degree, spend 4 years, probably try to go do a master, an MBA, because I need to be an expert in business before I can, go ahead and do that. But, we don't have to go that road. We
You
need
don't.
help. We need
Yeah.
help. Get a business coach.
Something
All right.
help in any area that you need it in. So it's not just like running a business. There's your systems, there's
Mm-hmm.
your accounting, there's your taxes. Like,
Yeah.
just focus on, like, to get to the next level you cannot master everything. And I definitely want more entrepreneurs to understand, like, the concept of living in your zone of genius, and where you are, like, you are great at one particular thing. You do not need to spend time becoming an expert in other things to thrive. You simply just be great at what you do, make enough money from it to invest in the help of other people so you can continue doing what you do best. And those people can help you get to the next level. I definitely would say that's a mindset shift that I went through last year. There was a point where I was doing everything by myself because I thought I had to. But when I moved into the next phase of life, the first thing that I did was, I ended up getting like this really big contract. And the first thing I did was, I'm not even going to try and do this by myself. I hired people. I hired people who were experts in things that I knew that I was not, and that literally allowed me the space and the time and the freedom to go get more clients and say, hey, we're doing this for this one client. I now have more space to get more business and grow the business because I'm not so busy trying to figure out how to be an expert in all these things that I now have to provide to this client. So again, getting help, investing in other people's expertise, living in your zone of genius, I do think is the key to making money.
Love it. Love it. So the next question I need to ask you guys. So I have my business going now. What are some tips that you have? Any advice of how to get a competitive edge? Because we need to have competitive businesses, to really get that money coming in. What can I do? What are some of the things that I can do?
I would say start with your positioning. Your competitive, so it's two things. One, your messaging and who you are, your story that you're going to tell, but it's also your positioning. And by what I mean by that is get super focused. Like when I say focus, I mean laser focused on who you help and who you like and what you help them to do. So that is your competitive edge. And the perfect example for that, let's just say you are an accountant, period. You are now competing against thousands of other accountants. But when you say I'm specifically an accountant for small businesses, or even more granular than that, I'm an accountant for small businesses with like 10 to 15 employees, you now can specifically market to small businesses with 10 to 15 employees. You can even say they have to be in the food and beverage space. And now you go from competing with 10,000 people to potentially competing with only 10 people who specifically serve that space. So what happens is when people need that particular service or need that particular help in that particular area, they're looking for people who are specialists in their space, right? That's what gives you the competitive edge. What you never want to do is say, I serve everybody. My solution can work for everybody, because when it is for everybody, it's really for nobody. Nobody knows exactly if they should come to you for something in particular. If somebody has to say, hey, do you do or do you offer? Then you have not gotten clear enough on like what it is that you actually do and who do you do it for, because it needs to be extremely clear. That is the first thing to getting this competitive advantage. What do you do and who exactly do you do it for? And why that is so important, just to reiterate, like literally, like I will die on this hill. This particular hill I will die on. Why it's important is because when you know exactly what you do and who you do it for, it's easy to get laser focused on what their problems are, because you're just listening to them, which means you will always beat out your competitors who have very vague messaging, who have very vague marketing, trying to cast a wide net. You are laser focused on just trying to solve problems for one specific type of person or one specific type of business, and they will continue to refer you. And it's also super easy to go find a million more businesses like those, because you have already worked with one, you know what their problems are, and you know exactly how to solve them. That is where the money comes from. My tips. Crystal, what do you think?
Yeah, I do agree. I think we get caught up in the shiny object syndrome. A lot of persons come in the space and they automatically want to become six figures. Or in my case, when I think about the empowerpreneurs, the ones that want to get into empowerment, the first thing they look at is, oh, I want to be Lisa Nichols, I want to be the next Les Brown. And as a result, oh, but Les Brown talk to everybody, Lisa Nichols talk to everybody, kind of thing. But one major thing is that in their time when they came up with speaking and stuff, the internet marketing space was totally different from now with even more, the global space is even more competitive. As Krista says, you have no other choice than to zero in on an audience. You
One.
have no other choice. And I can tell you, because I've made the mistakes of wanting to
Yeah,
impact the world, but start wanting to impact the world start with a focus of who you can. And even when it comes on to story, or helping somebody with forgiveness, or whatever you think your empowerment based thing is, the competitive advantage is one, knowing an audience and tapping into that.
just
Of
then.
course, using your story, how your story, and the truth is, here's a tip with your story: stop staying in the pain of the story. Like,
Agreed.
people are paying you for the transformation and the how to from that story. And I can tell you, because I'm a book coach, and it pain my heart when them just and them just stick on the abuse. Like, boo, we get it. We get it. What we want. I know I sound a little bit harsh, but it's the truth. Like,
Don't mind, talk. We're listening.
I get it, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I am. But what we want to know is, how did you come from that? What did you learn from that? Right? What is the transformation that you're going to
Yeah.
to offer me? And that's where you will be able to position yourself and differentiate yourself from everybody else. So I love the example of, even when you think about the accountant, or just any other. Once you are able to niche yourself, and believe me, it's better to be when it comes down to, you want to be the big fish in that pond, right?
Yes.
You want to be the big fish in that niche. And believe me, that's the difference between why a doctor can get in Jamaica. You've got visit the doctor is $2,500, but when you visit the gynecologist, you have to pay $700. 7,000 dollars, sorry,
7,000.
seven
Yeah.
thousand American dollars, right? That's the difference between the doctor and the gynecologist.
Yeah. And other specialists charge
And
more.
the other special, like, listen, when you have a throat problem at $12,000, right? Go, yeah, you have an eye problem, so yeah, that's the difference.
Yep, that's the key to getting paid highly. So it's not just getting paid, because when you serve everybody, like somebody will fall into your net, like if you just kind of stay there and, advertise for as long as you can, like, somebody will fall into your net. But if you want to get paid highly for what you do, you want to specialize. Does that mean you have to go to school for it? No, you
No,
simply just have to make the decision, plant your flag
yeah,
somewhere. And does that mean that you have to stay in that space? No. I started working with student athletes. Like that was my space for a long time. And then I pivoted at when the time was right, I pivoted. And I decided that, okay, I'm now going to work with people who own businesses like I do, where they're providing services. And I'm now going to help them grow their service businesses. And those are people I'm going to work with. Particularly, I want to work with women. I want to work with service businesses that are online service businesses. So I am niching down as I go. And over the next few months to years, I'm going to get even smaller as to who exactly I want to work with in the online service business. So you always want to focus on just zeroing in as much as possible, because you might think, doesn't that leave like 60 people? No. You think about the fact that like you are now going to be this go-to person for these 60 people. But I always say, where there's one, there's 100. Where there's 100, there's 10,000, right? So that's what I always say. So people think that by niching down, it actually limits their opportunities. No, it does not. Once you find exactly who you want to do something for, all you have to focus on doing after that is find as many people like that one person as possible and say, hey, I'm a specialist in helping you get this particular result because I know what you want, because I've studied what you want. I've studied being able to get you results. And here are my results that I've gotten in the past for people just like you. And here's my price tag. And if you go down the street to find somebody else, they don't know you like I do. They don't have the experience to help you like I do, which is why you can charge what you can charge.
Awesome. Niche is key, guys. Niche is key. You need to find it. Find it. As Crystal was saying, be that big fish in the small pond, whatever size pond. Don't try doing the ocean. Don't try reeling in everything all at once. Just focus on that. Focus on that thing. So at this point, I'm going to ask our viewers to please leave questions in the comment section. If you have any questions for Crystal or Krista, please go ahead and do so. We're going to get to those questions later. So if you have any questions at all about a business that you're probably trying to start, or any questions about anything that was said so far, please go ahead and leave the question in the comment section. So Krista and Crystal, women are often consumed with the various roles that they have to sometimes play, right? So a lot of us are girlfriends, we're wives, we're caregivers, we are mothers, we are professionals. As female entrepreneurs, do you have any tips on how to maintain balance while running a business?
Crystal, you got it, girl. Go ahead.
So I feel like you. All right. So I'm gonna share because I'm a mother, right? A minister and 20 million things, but I do think that there's this misconception that because Krista probably do have children yet, and probably she's not married yet, she have more time on her hands than everybody else, which is I'm sure not the case, right, Krista? Talk to me. Talk to me.
Hey, listen, I don't, yeah, go
No,
ahead. You go ahead.
no, so I'm gonna share on if there are persons like that, but I'm sure Krista want to hear your opinion because people think that because you're free single disengaged, you have more time. But what I could say, for me, I think balance. So sometimes I hear this negative thing around balancing, right? Oh, you can't balance your life, right? But I think one, you define what balance look like for you, because the truth is, if you're out of alignment, if you feel extremely exhausted all the time, if you are not having fun and implementing some level of fun in your life, right? If you are constantly in disagreements with the people that you love, then you're out of balance, right? Your life is out of balance. So how do I personally suggest that people try to, just when you think about balance, I think you just need to think about that peace, maintaining a level of peace, and yeah, and maintain a level of peace in your life. So yes, there are busy seasons, right? You probably have a launch coming up, right? Depending on the kind of job that you have, if you're in accounting, you know that it's tax time now, so there's more demand on you, right? Even as business owners, depending on what, I just recently launched a book, right? And in the process of me launching a book, I'm launching clients' books. So, it is a little bit more, it was a little bit more taxing in that season, more than other seasons. So one, I think for me, be able to discern a season that you're in, right? So if it means that, okay, this, you know that this is coming up and this is going to demand more of you, then one, mentally start to prepare for that, right? And you prepare for that by writing down all the things that you need to get done, asking for help when you need to ask for help, also ensuring that you try to implement rest in as best as possible, drink as much water as possible, some simple things that I think we overlook when it comes on to just proper self-care. Another thing that for me, so yes, I'm a mother, and you're trying to build this six-figure business, and you're trying to do all of these things, but you have to learn to say no. Learning to say no to things that are just not in alignment with my season right now. It means that there are some opportunities. For example, for me, it's very important for me to go to my daughter's sports day when, before COVID time. So I don't business what no client say. I don't work on sports day. I'm sorry. Like, I don't. You understand? Because that is important for me, right? So I think, let me just give you one, discerning your season. Two, understanding what your values are, right? And what am I willing to compromise for those values? So for me, family come first. Full stop. A few years ago when I lost my sister, I had about 2 events, 3 events. Listen, my sister died. Sorry, nah, do not events. I can recommend people for you to do the events, but I'm not going to do any event because mentally I just wasn't in the place, right? So knowing your values and understanding that you should, there are things that you have to say no to compromise. I think also the truth is you have to develop discipline if you're an entrepreneur. I'm gonna say this because so many entrepreneurs think that, oh, it's about us sitting on the beach and sipping pina colada, and that's what entrepreneur life is like. Hello, like we have to put in the work. We have to put in the work. We are doing late nights when people don't see, and it's okay that we're doing late nights because we're building a legacy, right? But then us, and that's why I said discipline is extremely important. You can't say, it baffles my mind for you to say you're an entrepreneur, you're a procrastinator. Because it means, this is why, when my father was a cabinet maker, right? And the people them give him job because he's a procrastinator. Every minute the people call police on him, right? It's true. No, because no, and that's one of the things. Integrity. This is why a lot of business owners, especially in Jamaica, are not, because we are a procrastinator and you don't do good job, and then you're always getting into trouble. So I think developing a level of discipline to ensure that whatever you do comes out in excellence. So I don't think I'm leaving out anything, but again, for me, I think it's very important for you to know what you value, discern the season that you're in, become disciplined, and also I could ensure that you have some kind of journal a lot, journal for your self-care, implement some level of fun, right? You need some fun, you need some days that you just don't do business. Find, if you don't have no friend, it really sad, find friend, you know. No, it's true, right? Like this self-made, I'm so against this self-made, no, we need each other, you need people. So for me, that's what balance look like.
Thanks, Crystal. Thanks so much. I mean, I can't even explain. Wow, the knowledge. I mean, so many things, so many of these things I did not know personally, and I know for a lot of our viewers they didn't know either. So thank you so much for sharing that. I want to ask you about the journaling, though. Can you explain that to me and for our audience?
So I think people underestimate the power of sharing their thoughts on paper. A lot of times, you don't have to be a good writer to share your thoughts, but there is something therapeutic about releasing those thoughts. One, I think journaling is amazing to write down your vision, right? Something simple as writing down what I want my business look like. What does my ideal day look like? I think I shared it on my Instagram a few months ago. When I just started entrepreneurship, I wrote, what I wanted my ideal day to look like. What time I wake up. I wrote, at the time when me write this, I could afford Brazilian ear, So I say me I got have on Brazilian ear, my nails I go well do. Me have on a Bridget Sanders. Them time when me write that in a boo. I could afford a Bridget Sanders, and on a max, like I literally, I got up, I took my daughter to school, and I went into an office space, I was able to leave her like a little, and I remember one day, so by now, I'm sitting in my office at the office at West Kings House Road, uptown office, me, I tell you, I write that in a vision, and I'm never like, and I remember just sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm living what my perfect life look like. Of course, there are, more, I make far more money, but I journal what I wanted my life to look like. And that's what journaling does. I think it allows you to explore your thoughts. It allow you to dream bigger than you are. And that's why I said it's good for self-care, because sometimes you have a hard day and you don't have anybody to share it with. Or for me, all of my best friends are into 9 to 5, so they don't always understand my entrepreneurial journey. So sometimes I just write about my day. I write about the struggle that I'm going through. I write my prayers in it. I write my dreams, etc. And it's just a blessing to go back and see what my life look like.
Thanks, Crystal. I like that. I really do. I didn't think of journaling about that. I always thought about journaling about writing my woes.
Yeah. And I still want
My
to hear
heartbreak.
Krista's aspect of balancing. So, Krista, you don't get to, no, you don't get to it. You don't. I know that I'm a part of the panel, but you don't get to it because I know that somebody is saying, oh, because she has a child, she older. That's why. So, Krista, you have balance pot. You look like you have balance pot. You look like you have it pot.
Okay, so in terms of like complete transparency, I'd always say that's something that I'm working on. As like my life is evolving, especially now moving into a new space, like it is something that I'm consistently focused on. Balance. I remember there was a time, so Crystal, you spoke about your passing of your sister. I'm really sorry about that. There was a time where when I had just started my business, when I was making no money, I literally was working myself into the ground. Like I had I would schedule in like 13-minute naps between everything that I was doing. So I started my first business in high school, and I thought this business was going to be the business that was going to like put me on the map, and I was going to become a millionaire, I was going to drop out of school, and that was the story that I was trying to make real for myself. Right. So for my first year of college, I was just consistently working. I had a job, I had an internship, I was a collegiate athlete, which means they were paying me to show up and run and come to training every day. I was a full-time student, I was a sister, I was a friend, I was all of these things. My second year of college, I got like there was no breaks for me. My second year of college, I was all of those things, and then I became a girlfriend. Then I became a resident assistant responsible for 30 other students who were brand new to college. I was just balancing so many things. And then I had a friend, a childhood friend, suddenly passed away, and it literally like knocked the wind out of me. And when it happened, I gave myself about 3 days to grieve. And because I had to go back to regular life, like I still had class, I still had all of these responsibilities. And then there was a point where I just hit a wall. I completely broke down and I quit everything. I completely fell apart. I shut down my business. I kind of disappeared from my friends. I kind of poured myself into like, things that were not aligned with like my future vision that I had for myself as a successful entrepreneur. I was just like, nah, I think I'm gonna go the 9 to 5 route. I'm going to focus on that. And that was when I started looking back. I realized I did not want to. That I never want to get there again. So balance is something that I'm actually hyper focused on. So now in my day to day, I am focused on what do I want my future to actually look like? What do I see for myself? And the future I'm envisioning is not a future of I don't have time for friends, I don't have time for family, I don't have time for myself. A future that I'm envisioning for myself is I have freedom. So how am I making sure that I have that? Not by working myself into the ground now and hoping that the freedom will come, but by prioritizing freedom now. So I now intentionally schedule time to take breaks. I now listen to myself, listen to my spirit, listen to my body. When it's time for bed, it is time for bed. Do not call me. It is time for bed. The money will come when I am at 100%. There was a time where I was working myself into the ground, did not have time for anything, and the money was not coming. The minute that I actually started to prioritize me, my well-being, family, friends, and vision for the future is when the money actually started to come. I actually had space in my mind to think up different opportunities and the space to pursue them. So, in terms of balance, I would say it is a decision. It is looking to who you want to become and making sure that your current today actions align with who you want to become in the future. So that's my way of balancing things. Is it perfect? No. But the beautiful thing is that I have also prioritized having a village around me that is extremely supportive and extremely loving and extremely just they're just there for me and always reminding me like, okay, it's time for breaks. Like I currently have a team now that I'm running, and there are times where I'm just like, okay, I'll just do this myself. Like, it's okay. I don't want to stress anybody. They're just like, no, that's not why you hired us. We're here to make sure that you don't stress yourself out. We're here to make sure that you operate in your zone of genius so that you can consistently go out there and make money so we can all eat. So I just make sure that I have the people around me who are consistently speaking good things over me, and also making sure that I'm always at 100%. And they're also making sure that they're helping me with staying balanced and focused. So I would say not necessarily like one, it's staying focused on who you want to be and starting from now and living in that now as opposed to hoping it will come in the future. And then two, it's also again focus on who you have in your circle. How are they supporting you? Making sure that they're aware of who you would also like to become so they can hold you accountable and step in when you are doing things that are not in alignment with who you said you wanted to be.
Thanks, Krista. I love that. Trust me, guys, I'm loving this conversation. I'm loving the advice about everything that we've discussed so far, especially this bit about prioritizing your life. And it goes just across the board. Even if you're still in your 9 to 5, right? No, it's still about prioritizing, because if you don't, there are lots of regrets that will come in life. I mean, there are statements that people have taken from people who are on their deathbeds. They call it their final words, and none of them that I've seen, maybe somebody else has seen it, but I have not seen anybody say, I wish that I worked more. I wish that I spent more time trying to build out a model. I wish that I spent more time working on my website, trying to perfect my product. No, no, none of
Yeah,
that. We have
that's
to
true.
prioritize and make time for the people that we love in our lives. We have to take time for us. We have to rest, as what Crystal is saying. We really have to think about that, and it has to fit in to what you're trying to build and create. Because I
Yeah,
don't subscribe to the mode of thinking where people say, you have to work hard now and kill yourself now, and then you think about retirement. So it's when you're in your 60s, then you get to reap the fruits of your labor. I don't subscribe to that, because 60 is not promised to anybody. Tomorrow is not promised. I don't have control over that, and I know you don't either. So take the time now and prioritize the things that you have going on right now, and it won't be perfect. And as Crystal said, balance looks different for everybody, right? It's a different thing for everybody. So if it's your child's sports day, like, make that a priority. You need to be at every single sports day, because this is it. This is what will take. The child will remember that. Your baby will remember that if mommy was at sports day or not. It's something that kids remember. So you have to evaluate your own life and look at what you can handle, and look at the business that you're going into. Whatever route you take, right? So we over our expert blockage, and we're starting it. We know what we want to do, and we feel out the market, and we've done our research, and we start making some money. But guys, please, balance is important. And I love what Crystal said, and I thank her for being so open, Crystal as well, about the point in her life that she wasn't really making any money, and she was going overkill at one point. Um, but it didn't really work out for her, not mentally, not emotionally, not financially. It was at the point where she could strike balance in her life, where she could see things working for her. All right. So at this point, I'm gonna ask if anybody has any questions for Crystal to answer. So you can go ahead, put it in the comment section. And Ashden, hi Ashden. He's been over there listening the whole time. He's taking it in.
Right.
I know we said we are talking to the women, but he's there soaking up everything.
Yeah,
Care
man.
about the Monday, right?
Of course. Yeah, man. This information is valuable not just to females but also males.
Yeah. So any questions? Ashton, can you look through the comment section and put up any questions that you're seeing right now?
Sure.
Don't be shy, guys.
we can also talk about like quitting your 9 to 5 too and not doing that. I am not an advocate for quitting.
Listen, girl.
I'm not. I am not an advocate for quitting your 9 to 5. If anybody tells you to quit your 9 to 5, like, so Priscilla is a part of my team. Love you guys. Hey Priscilla. My queen. Yep. So I am not an advocate for quitting your 9 to 5 whatsoever. Like, enjoy your 9 to 5, enjoy that consistent money. If it's serving you, you know, enjoy it. If it's not serving you, go find another one that is serving you. Do I recommend that everybody quits their job and goes and starts a business? No. I 100% recommend using your 9 to 5 to fuel these other ventures that you want to test out. And when it makes enough money for you to actually go work in it, hire somebody to work in it. Give them the salary you've given yourself, and then continue to build it with now people. So when you are actually now ready to go be a part of it, you are now the CEO who is just focused on the growth, as opposed to you are now becoming your own employee.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Because again, for me personally, I left my 9 to 5 in 2017, and I left kicking and screaming. Um, but I knew that this was something that the Lord has placed. Like He told me directly that I needed to do, to leave my 9 to 5, and in my head, I'm like, why? Like I don't get it, right? But no now that I'm here 4 years later, I still don't understand why I needed to leave. But in my case, I was operating by faith. I always tell people that, stay as long as you need to, right? I do know that for some reason everybody hate them job. I don't know. I don't know why everybody like. I loved, like, I tell people when I was working, like Monday was my favorite day of the week. Like I love doing what I was doing. Yeah, I loved work. I literally love work. Because not why would you stay in a job that you don't like, I not get it. I not get it. Like there's so many opportunities out there for you to learn new things, get into new field and enjoy your 9 to 5, and then use that, as Krista say, to fuel, to pay for the website, to pay for whatever you need to pay for. You think some money I drop from tree? You think some bank just like you money? Everybody, oh, can I? How can I find the question I get asked? Krista, you tell me if you get it too. How do I get finances to for my business? Your job.
Your job.
Your job, right? Your job. And one of the things, if you don't learn to manage your money in your 9 to 5, your business money is going to worse. And I can tell you because I struggled, right? To be honest. So you learn to manage your money, learn the money mindset, learn all the things that you need to learn while you're doing both until you're able um to go over to the other one.
Yep.
Awesome.
Krista,
We have
there's
a
a
question
question.
here. Yeah, from Vladimir Murray. Question on multiple streams of income. At what point should one start paying taxes?
Krista, I send that one to you.
Oh, so I'm not a tax expert, but I am absolutely afraid of jail. So for me, I will not give anybody any tax advice, but simply like whatever the requirements are, if you have to report that and report your income and pay those taxes, do that. I am not a tax expert, so my thing is like I'm also terribly afraid of jail and also like fines and stuff like that. So if you're making that additional income, you report it and you pay your taxes. I am not the best person to give anybody tax advice other than to simply just pay them. I think what we have to do, just because like my business is US based, you have to report your earnings quarterly. So that's what they said to do. That's what I do. At some point, I'm gonna hire a tax accountant though. Like I think that's like my next move. But in terms of giving people tax advice, you making extra money. You let them know that you're making extra money.
And
I'll
Krista is
take the
staying in
next
her
question.
niche.
I'll
She's
take the next
her
question.
niche.
I am not afraid to let anybody know when I am not an expert at something, and I don't feel bad about it. Again, my zone of genius is helping service businesses scale. So, like tips on negotiating your rates as an entrepreneur, that one we can talk about. Taxes, I can refer you to someone for that.
So let's get into that question though.
Tips
Any
on
tips?
Tips on negotiating your rates as an entrepreneur. Do I believe in negotiating your rates? I don't think so. I'm not 100% there. I think that like a lot of people think that they have a pricing problem or they have like a negotiating your rates problem. When in reality, what they have is like they don't know their value problem. So they are just like, okay, like how much am I going to take off? All of these things that it's just like that's not the problem. If you can't stay like these are my prices and the person is just like, hey, is there any way that you can give me like a discount? What is this value like? What is the value in this transformation? I think a lot of people don't have a pricing problem. They have a positioning and a value and believing in their value problem. So tips on negotiating your rates. First, set your actual rates first. Start with that, right? And again, it goes back to who do you want to work with? Who are you working? Like, what do you do? Who do you do it for? And what is the transformation that you are providing to people? When you have those things down pat, when it comes to negotiation, you are way more confident and you are probably way more rigid about the prices that you've set because you are confident about the transformation that you're bringing to the table. But ultimately, some general advice, because there are times when you will have to negotiate. I always say the first offer is not the best offer. If somebody's like bringing something to you like, hey, I would prefer to pay this, then the first offer that they give is not always their best offer. That's what they think they can get away with. So you want to, I would say, start a little bit, not a little bit higher, but like you always want to first negotiate. And then you also want to kind of like, I would say in negotiations, remember that the first offer is not the best offer. And then two, it's you want it to feel like a win-win situation. That's how my best negotiations have gone. You want to feel like when at the end of the day, or maybe lose, you just want it to feel balanced where you feel like you've given some and the person has given some. So if somebody says, I want to pay 1,500 for this, but your normal rate is 2,000, then we say, okay, how's 1,900 for you? They go, oh, I need to go a little bit lower. How's 1,800? I'm not sure. How's 1,750? All right, I can do that. Can I do 1,750? All right, sure. But I don't want, especially for service providers, I do not want people to get into the habit of feeling like they have to negotiate their rates. I would prefer that people say no to specific opportunities if it does not if it's not a thing where like, okay, I really want to use this for like propelling myself somewhere in the future, so I'm going to take the L on this one. I want servicepreneurs to not go into things thinking that they have to negotiate. Typically, when you feel like you have to negotiate is because you are not confident in the prices that you have set and the transformation that you're bringing to people. When people want to negotiate your prices, it's also because they are not confident in the transformation that you're providing. So they're trying to nickel and dime, and you want to think, is this somebody that I want to work with? Which is why I'm not sure if I believe necessarily in negotiations, just because my price is my price, and there are people who value the work that I do enough to pay this price. You don't negotiate with the doctor. You do not negotiate with the with the school and say, hey, can I get a little bit off tuition? No, you do what you have to do. So why are my services what you want to negotiate on, right? So I would definitely say, find people who want to invest in what you do, but also know the value in what you're bringing to the table. So when people are asking for negotiations, you can now ask them, why do we want to pay less for this transformation? How much is this transformation actually worth to you?
I think that's excellent point, Krista. And boy, I wish I had the level of confidence when I started in business. To be honest, because I when I quoted a price, I end up, negotiating, and believe me, they always turn out to be the problematic clients, right? And they don't do the work. um
Listen,
they don't do the work, and then they complain that they don't get the right transformation when you never pay what it was worth. So I would definitely say agree with Krista on this one.
yep.
Yeah, it's a value thing, because I actually know somebody who had a service business. So she was providing a service in like the hoteling industry, and she really really loved what she did, and it caused her to constantly discount her products to everybody that comes. You need a, oh, can you take this off? And she would go all the way down to gas money and food, and sometimes not even gas money. It's just like, just barely enough to cover the cost of, whatever the things cost. And that's no way, especially when you're just starting out business. And on that matter, I actually want to go into, what do you guys feel? I'd love to hear your feedback on this. How do you feel about heavy discounts and freebies for friends and family when you're starting a business? How do you guys feel about that?
So thankfully, my friends are not servicepreneurs. They, love their 9 to 5s, and I'm really proud of them for it. So I would say that it's a matter of comfort, really. If you are providing a ridiculous transformation to these people who are coming to you for advice, their family and their friends, they have to pay for it. They're going to pay for it. They have to show you that they are willing to invest in you and invest in the transformation for themselves, because a lot of times we end up helping family and friends and you're so accessible that they're just like, well, I have this idea, I need your help, like, and you help them and you kind of do the most for them, and at the end of the day they're just like, well, thanks, but I'm not sure if I want to go down this road anymore. You want them to take the transformation that you're going to provide to them as seriously as possible. So in terms of doing things for free, that's my least favorite word. So I definitely want you to empower people to always attach a price to the things that they're doing, even if it's family and friends. And if you feel like they're not going to love you or they're going to be mad because you're charging them and how dare you charge them, then that's a different conversation about boundaries, about respect. That's a very, very different conversation. Where I stand on discounts, I will give my family a little bit of discount. Like, y'all have been right. You've poured into me so much that I'm definitely going to offer this discount. But as for free, couldn't do it. Like, I don't recommend free at all. And in terms of discounting, you want to understand why you're discounting it. Is it because you are just like, hey, I'm paying you back for how much you've poured into me? Or is it that I think that you're not going to love me, or you're not going to pay me if I charge you if I ask for my regular prices? And the question is, why will they not pay you for the transformation? They're coming to you, but will they not pay you? Will they pay someone else to get the same transformation because they still need it? Will they pay someone else? And the question is, why will they pay someone else over you? And that's, again, a different conversation. So free, no. Discounted, the question is why? What is the intention? What do you want to get out of it? Is it a testimonial? Is it you want to say, hey, I helped this person to do this and their family? Is it that you feel like they're not going to love you because? And then that's a different conversation.
Yeah, before we get to the next question, Crystal, I want to hear your take on that as well, especially with regarding if you're writing, you have your books, you have products out and things like that. How do you feel about it?
Again, luckily, most of my closest friends and family are not interested in anything that I'm doing. To be honest, too, when it comes down to my books, my friends buy, like, they purchase a copy of my book to show their support, right? And they promote it. So I've not had the instance where I feel like any family member, none of my family member decide they want to write a book yet, so I don't know how I'll deal with it. I'm not quite sure. But personally, when it comes down to coaching itself, yeah, like if it's when it's free, they don't value what they get for free, and they undervalue. And again, I've tried to these are not necessarily friends, like my closest friends, but people that you think are your friend, and you give them the discount, them problematic, like problematic. And like, you regret it, like, you eventually regret it. And the truth is, some of them eventually feel like they can do what you are doing. And a lot of times, and not just I've seen it personally, but I've seen it with other entrepreneurial friends, where they help out people, and then the same person go and start a business similar to them to compete with them, because it was so easy in the first place, and you would have felt better if you had just charged them. And then so I don't know about the free business. I'm not really, and right now, after 2020, I'm not really sure about the discount thing again. I'm sorry. Yeah, I pay my dues already. Yeah, I do all my good Jesus deeds already. Y'all gotta pay. I'm sorry.
It really depends. Like, it depends. Like, if you're my sisters, like, I'll probably do it for my sisters. Like, I'll probably do the free for my sisters, just because, like, again, like, they would have poured so much into me, and we have that type of relationship. For a friend, like, I want to see you make this investment in me, because you are taking up my time now. Like, the time that I'm giving to you, I cannot give to a client. So I want to see you make that investment in me. I may give you a little something because of our love and our years of friendship, but you will pay for this. You will make the investment, because, again, I am confident about the transformation that I'm providing you. Like, this number that I've attached to it is simply just a number to make sure that my bills are paid. However, I am confident in how this will change your life, not just today, but for years to come. And I want to see you make that investment, and I want to see you value it. This investment that you're going to make sure that you show up. Right? It makes sure that you show up for yourself. So in terms of friends, And I'm like, in terms of friends, like we're gonna give maybe a little
And
something,
depends
something.
on the kind of friend. And depends. I think what came to me when you're talking too. When it comes on to, for example, if you're just starting the business and you're in service base, and it's a case where you have not somebody that you could test the market with. In exchange for a testimonial,
Yeah,
that could work. Or if you have an influencer family member that, if they test the product, they can post it on their Instagram, and you could get some traffic from that. I think there is validation in the beginning of your business when you too are trying to learn your skill set and
yeah,
determine your value. But as you grow and you're getting better, no, pay. Sorry.
yeah. Mm-mm. Like right now, like I offer mastermind sessions. It's just like if you want me, like somebody will call and be like, Chris, I need your help. Fill up my application. I love you so much. Fill out the application. Let's do a mastermind session because the best way to get my help is to invest in my help. And then we can have this conversation about what you actually need. Because I will, again, I'm confident in the transformation that I'm about to provide to your life. So if you're calling me, you're also confident about it. I want to see you put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely agree with everything that's said because as somebody who has tried to start my own thing, uh, I had, products there, and then I'd have people come and, can I have this? Can I have that? And then there is a monetary value to all of the things that you make and your time,
Yeah,
right? So you cannot, you love the people, but you cannot be giving everything away for free. If you're a nail tech and you're good at it, and fine, you can go ahead and you can do a few people, but it shouldn't be a case where everybody's coming to you for free services, and it's taking up time that you could actually be getting money from clients. There
yeah.
is a limit. You need to have boundaries.
Boundary.
Don't let people overstep your boundaries. And if you know somebody who is starting their business or who have started their business, support them. That's the best way to support them. Pay for the thing. That's the best way to support the person. Buy the product, pay for the service.
Agree.
So we have another question here. How do I maximize online earning platforms like Upwork? How do I become visible to prospective clients?
So I actually just did a free class on that. If anybody wants to see that free class, it's actually available on Twitter. If you go look it up, Miss Krista Forbes is how to basically freelance your way to 4 figures USD. So to answer that question, I actually don't use those platforms. I've heard a lot about them, but I have no interest in them just because when it comes to making money, you want to go where your ideal audience is hanging out. I think that Upwork and those services are really really great, but again, Zone of Genius not the best at like giving that advice. And I also don't think that you need those platforms to become a high earner in what you do. So in terms of maximizing online platforms where you can earn, I would say look to social media. I prefer Instagram, and I've also used Facebook heavily in the past. How do I become more visible? Again, it comes down to knowing what you do and who you do it for. And I also think that Instagram is the best place to brand yourself. I think it's the best place to find clients because people are really, really great at putting what they do in their bios, and they're also really great at talking about what they do online. So if you want to earn, again, if you're an accountant and you know that you specifically want to work with the like let's just say companies in the hair industry and the beauty industry, you can brand yourself like that online. Again, so it starts with branding and positioning, knowing exactly who what you do and who you do it for, and then making sure that your platform represents that. So if you specifically want to work with people in the hair industry, if you're marketing, or if you're a marketer for people in the hair industry, you want your content to reflect that. So that's how you become visible. And then you want to go find those people. So if you are someone in the beauty industry, you want to go find other people who have businesses in the beauty industry who you could solve problems for. And you want to put yourself directly in front of them. So you actually want to go knock on their door on Instagram, of course, interact with them, send them DMs, interact with their content, put out content that would be helpful to them and that will signal to them like, hey, I solve your problems. I am here for you. Look at me. So again, to recap, knowing what you do, who you do it for, go and finding them where they hang out. So go to them for where they hang out, because it's also a lot easier. Like for I believe like platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. The thing about those platforms is you're competing against a sea of people. So when people are going through, I don't know if they have algorithms, I don't really know like how it works in terms of how you get seen, but which would you prefer? Would you prefer to go target people who could potentially use you and say, here I am? Or would you wait for someone who says, I now have to go sift through 10,000 people in this space to figure out who I want to work with? So I would definitely say you want to maximize your visibility to prospective clients by building your own brand somewhere, and then signaling to the people specifically that you want to work with, saying, here I am, by getting in front of them, by reaching out to them, by interacting with them, and making sure that your content clearly shows them that you can help them.
Regarding Upwork and Fiverr, no, the truth is the amount of money that you can make on those platforms will not be a lot, right? Based on, yeah, the margin that you'll gain if you're a graphic designer, etc. I do think that there is value in putting it as an option. If you are still struggling with learning and stuff, you can go on these platforms now. As Krista mentioned, there is a lot of competition in those markets, right? So it's probably easier for you to try to build a brand on Instagram, especially, or build a brand to gain clientele based on your skills, right? So we're not, listen, I love Fiverr. I love to pay $5 to get a graphic design done, because when you go on a normal graphic design page, you have to pay somebody, $100. But when it comes on to like a book cover, I'm not going to pay a Fiverr. You understand? I'm not gonna pay. I need somebody that is a as expert in book design, because your book is out there for some for so there is value. You just would have to determine what your vision is. You're not gonna make six figure on Fiverr, osh. But it's good for you to practice your skills if
Yeah.
you desire. Yeah.
Yeah, so I never say never, but I would definitely want to say that, like, in terms of if you're going for a high paying. So again, my expertise in helping servicepreneurs scale their businesses by either monetizing their expertise and creating digital products, or by increasing their prices and finding clients who will pay them high for four figures or higher to actually do what they do. So I do not necessarily recommend platforms like Upwork, just because I feel like it's more like a volume thing, when in reality what you can do is you can work with less clients and make more by simply knowing how to by simply building a brand and positioning yourself in front of the people that you want to do work for, where they're hanging out on social platforms like Instagram and like Facebook, and also like LinkedIn. So I see that's the question that is being posed right now. Any advice for setting up your LinkedIn profile? um, I have used LinkedIn in the past. It is more professionally, but you again want to have in your bio, like, again, what do you do? I cannot stress that enough. At this point, I'm a broken scratch record. Like, I cannot stress enough. What do you do, and who do you do it for? Like, have that very, very visible, and then yeah, like again, not again, Zone of Genius is Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn, it has helped in the past in terms of just like getting recognition for what I do. That's actually how I got my first job out of school. So in terms of setting it up, just be really clear about who you do, what you do it for, your experience, and then again, get to interacting with people. My more focus is on the interaction. So once you have established very visibly who you are and and what you do and who you do it for, next get into the interaction and getting social and start getting in front of people who would be your ideal audience.
Nice.
So it's funny because, as I said, in terms of setting up LinkedIn, I'm just actually tapping into LinkedIn. But since I've been on this call, I just got a message on LinkedIn to go and Smile Jamaica on Monday.
Hey.
I know, right? Because I shared a post about something about Yahoo Finance on my LinkedIn, and somebody say, "Oh, congrats! Would you want to come and Smile Jamaica?" So listen, people are using these platforms You just
Mhm.
need to show up on these platforms. You don't know who is watching what you're doing. Just ensure that whatever you're doing, you do it in excellence. That's it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, nice. So we're going into our final question for the night. So we have one here from Vladimir. When did you start separating your business from your day-to-day money?
I would say for me, it was when I started my second business. So when I was doing the college prep stuff, like I couldn't like there was no business money versus my money. It was all business money, to be honest. Like, and then like part of it was my money, because everything I had I reinvested into the business. But it was when I started my last one, and we had to start paying staff, and we had to start paying big boy taxes. Like, that's when we actually would made sure to like have very separate accounts. So I think for people, I would honestly say do it from day one. So for me, I did it when I started my second business, and I was a lot more intentional, a lot more serious about that one. So that's when we had to separate that. But honestly, like if it's possible to do it from day one, just to kind of keep track of everything, I would suggest that even if it's a different a different account, that you just don't like, you only use for business, you want to have that. So I suggest that from day one, because it makes things it makes it a lot easier to know how much you're actually making and how much you're actually spending. I would definitely say that was a regret of mine not doing that sooner, because I can see that what money was made, but I can't tell you when I spent what on groceries, when I spent what on a website. Like it was all coming from the same place, and that was like a mistake that a regret that I had from the past that I'm definitely not currently making.
Yeah, and agree. One of the things I would say to any entrepreneur that I started to do 2 years ago, there's an app. I download an app on my phone to track my spending. So every single money that I spend, I write it down. I track it. Right. I do agree that if as quickly like as soon as possible, try to keep track of your business money separately, so okay, this is what it looks like, because it's going to be a struggle when it comes on to the taxing. It's going to be a struggle when it comes on to paying people, because you already start living a certain lifestyle, and then when you realize actually you're not making that amount of money,
Yeah.
because you have been struggle with your cash flow to pay others to get the help that you need. So definitely I would say as early as possible get a business account. Try to keep it, but I would practice tracking my spending, right? Track so you know where your money goes, right? Having a budget with how you spend this money, especially when it comes on to business, because sometimes it seems like you're making a lot, but then when you look at your expenses, you're like, okay, all right, probably I need to tighten up on something. I need to tighten up on something. I need to this. Okay, I can't do my hair every week, as I used to. Instead, I'm going to do something that will last a little longer. Because here's the thing, we want to be long-term legacy, right? We're not trying too many entrepreneurs get caught up in looking good right now, looking fleek right now, no, no, that's that no. We're building long-term legacy, long-term finances. What app do I use? Well, mine, I think once you type in your in whatever your Play Store or whatever, you can find app. But the one that I use is on my iPhone called Expense, right? So that's expense. So every income, so I put my income, all the money every single day. If me even spend $20, right? Well, we not really. There's nothing in Jamaica I can buy for $20, really.
Means.
Right, but I do try to track my spending, and each month I look, okay, this is what, or why my light bill looks so high, what did I do differently? Like when you track your spending, you're able to manage your money better.
Love that, love that. And our Stocks on our Rocks fans know that we have a session on budgeting that we did last year, but I'm feeling like we probably need to do a session on budgeting re-business. So let us know if that's something that you're interested in. Listen, I'm trying to find a way to get Crystal and Crystal back on this platform. I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
man, the
it.
man
I'm
for come
trying to
back, man.
find it. I'm trying to find a way. So We are actually at the end of our session, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us. So, just before we go, we want to know how we can reach you. So, Crystal, how can the people find you?
So you can find me where I hang out on Instagram or on Twitter. I spend
Girl,
way.
I just followed you a while ago. You better follow
I
me back.
saw it. I saw it. So I give out a ton of resources. Like I'm creating like a thread of resources to help people grow their service businesses on Twitter currently. So you can find me at Miss MS Krista Forbes on Twitter as well as Instagram. That's where I hang out. That's where I put the majority of my information. So you can find me there. You can follow me there and interact with me there. On both platforms, I just put out my brand new ebook for people who have service businesses that want to learn how to scale it without spending more time for money. So that is actually free for a limited time because we love passive income. So that
Get
is,
your ebook, guys.
yep, get it while it's free. You know, I don't love that word, but get it while it's free. So you can find that on my Twitter and my Instagram as well.
Crystal, how can we find you?
Yeah, so like I'm Crystal, CrystalSDAye. My website, crystalday.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Crystal Day, Instagram, Crystal SD, and I'm big on Facebook because a lot of older people are on Facebook. And
Let's spend the
you know,
money.
listen, when it
Let's
comes down
spend
to
the
publishing
money.
books,
No
yeah, when it
shame. That's fine.
listen, but I definitely love Instagram. I'm big on Instagram also. And I guess the final thing I would say, persons that are listening, listen. I know that the men that are on this call, them are gonna just take the information and run with it. Like me not worry.
Yeah,
That's
man.
the thing, Me not worry about the man. Them, them. You see, one man asked me what the name of the app, cause him know the foolishness. Ladies, if you are listening, we need more of us to show up. We need more women to show up. Please don't listen. Don't make a waste of time and giving all of this free information, right? And you just come on next month, come listen, and then that's it. Like no, let's not be information holders, right? Let's start to execute. So get that business out, get that reach out to Crystal, reach out to myself, and just do what you need to do.
Yep.
Thanks so much. And remember, you can get Crystal's book, Their Insecurity, available on Amazon. And you can get Crystal's ebook on her website, the Optima the Agency. All right, guys? So thanks again for tuning in. See you next month, the last Friday in March. Looking forward to seeing you there. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Subscribe, like, leave a comment, share with your friends. See you next time. Bye, bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.